A warm welcome to the History Show here on Uxbridge FM, and it's our monthly welcome back to Ken Pearce, who is chairman of the Uxbridge Local History Society. Morning, Ken. How are you?
Good morning. Oh, pretty good. Thank you very much. Yes.
And our first talk today is John Bedford Leno. When you're ready, Ken.
Right. Thank you. Yes. Well, the family called Leno have been living around in Uxbridge now for something like 300 years, which has always been a puzzle to me because the surname doesn't sound British at all. In fact, some of you know that the Arsenal Football Club have a goalkeeper called Leno who's come from abroad. However, the fact remains that the Lenos have been living in this district for a long time, and one of them, probably the most notable, is John Bedford Leno. He was born in 1826 in Bell Yard, which was one of the worst slums in Uxbridge. He was the eldest of 7 children of John and Phoebe Leno, both domestic servants. He had little schooling, and by the age of 12, he was at work. It took him quite a long time, though, to settle to a particular trade. He worked on a farm to start with, then for a rope maker, and then he delivered letters for the Uxbridge postmaster. But eventually he was apprenticed as a compositor in a printing firm. And although hampered by a lack of education, he persisted and qualified. He was, in fact, intelligent and gifted, with a strong voice for speaking and singing. He soon became involved with the Chartist movement. This was a campaign by young men wanting electoral reform. One thing they wanted was the vote for all men over the age of 21. But at the time, when Leno was campaigning, there were men who had to have property. They also wanted a secret ballot. Again, at this time, if you wanted to vote, you went in to a table and told the official behind who you were going to vote for. And sometimes the room was very crowded, so a lot of people knew where your vote was going. And the Chartists didn't like that. They also wanted equal constituencies. So here in Uxbridge, John Leno set up a small printing press in Windsor Street and began to publish a magazine called the Uxbridge Pioneer. And after that, another called The Spirit of Freedom and the Working Man's Vindicator. Encouraged by the response in Uxbridge, Leno and his wife moved to London, where he joined the Working Printers Association. He moved into premises near Drury Lane and became involved in printing and journalism for almost the rest of his life. He was a popular speaker on social issues. He also wrote poetry and songs. He campaigned for freedom, justice, and equality. He became editor and printer of a magazine called The Commonwealth and another called the Westminster News. And in the course of his work, he often met Karl Marx. He met the Italian revolutionary Garibaldi when he came over to this country. And he also worked for Gladstone and the Liberal Party. By 1890, though, his health began to fail, and he decided to end his days back in his native Uxbridge. And so he moved into Windsor Street and worked on an autobiography which he called The Aftermath, and that included some of his poems. He was granted a gratuity of £50 from the Royal Bounty by Gladstone. John Leno died in 1894, and a public appeal led to an obelisk being erected in his memory in Kingston Lane Cemetery. One fellow journalist summed up his life like this: Leno was a working man to the backbone, who believed in the dignity of labour, a radical, but a poetic radical, who sang while he toiled. His best-known poem, actually, is called The Song of the Spade. And for Leno, of course, the spade was a symbol of working-class endeavour and achievement. Let me just quote you one verse to end this little tale. Give me the spade, England's hope, England's glory, that fashioned the field from the bleak barren moor. Let us blazon its rare deeds in ballad and story, while 'tis brightened with labour, not tarnished with gore. It was not the sword that won our last battle, created our commerce, extended our trade, gave food to the loving wives, children, and cattle, but the queen of all weapons, the spade, boys, the spade.
Thanks, Ken. Where would Bell Yard be now? Is that still in existence?
Yes, it's now the underground station.
Ah, right.
So it was an alleyway that led up opposite the market house, right up to York Road.
Ah, gone now, though.
Oh, it disappeared in the 1930s, and they built the station and the railway in place.
Yeah. Great stuff.
The police were reluctant to go up there at one time, and they always went in pairs anyway.
Yes, don't blame them. Right, we've got one more talk to come. Stay tuned.